Hello and welcome to Chicago Reacts. My name is Lauren and today I'm going to be looking at a creator called Shoe0nHead and the video is going to be called The Male Loneliness Epidemic. I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Based on the first couple of comments that I did look at under her video, it does seem like it's going to be about, dating apps and how soul-crushing they can be, which, valid. I'm curious to see where it goes. I don't know, again, what to expect, because I really, really feel like she's not going to be, defending incel behavior, but, there's lots of behavior that has been dubbed incel behavior that isn't necessarily, so I'm curious to see where she's going. I don't really want to waste any more time with this intro, because I've already tried to film it twice, and I was like, just stumbling over my words. So I'm curious to see what she has to say. Let's begin.
I regret to inform you the men are not okay. That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller. And
I've heard of that guy.
Men help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo.
No, I will give her some of that. It's like, I feel like we have built a sort of society where men have to be like emotionally stoic. And so like, I've had friends who like complain that they don't have like a guy friend to just talk to. And like, but it's like, the problem comes when you want to put all of that onto a romantic partner instead of like giving, having friends who can take some of that emotional burden. But it's like really difficult because we have, of course, created a society where men are not allowed to express emotions in the same way that women are. So women can have like a really strong support network of friends who will just, listen and who can like, women are allowed to break down, but if men do that, then they're insulted. And so it's like, I can see like, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't know I do not know how to start fixing that. Yes, I see where she's coming from already. I'm on board with her. I'm with her on this.
For Men video by Shoe0nHead. Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else.
Okay. I guess this is something she does.
Crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. It's not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor.
All right, that's a good segue.
Shoe0nHead is a young Austrian company that designs unique crafted watches and jewelry made from all natural materials.
That's
Their
cool.
high-quality timepieces come in various designs for both men and women, making them the perfect gift for any occasion. They're a great blend of function and fashion, and overall I just think they look very classy, especially the men's watch collection. I was pretty impressed with the silver casing and blue marble dial of the Naturalist watch, which made for a great gift for my boyfriend. He especially loved the casual yet stylish appearance, making it an ideal choice to wear both at work and at home.
I need a watch.
With the watch I picked out. It's made from black and white marble and features a nice black leather bracelet that just feels so comfortable.
Nice.
They also create elegantly crafted earrings, very unique handbags, sunglasses, and necklaces, like this rose marble elevation necklace. It makes a really memorable and unique gift for a loved one. All of their products have a 24-month warranty, and ordering online is super easy with free shipping to the US and most EU countries.
I mean, I can't afford a single thing on this page, but
watch and support the channel. I highly recommend checking out their store and clicking the link in the description below. Use my special code SHOE15 at checkout that will give you 15% off for all products store-wide. So go to the link down below and choose your own unique piece of nature. Thank you, Shoe0nHead, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
You're welcome!
Struggling. And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out.
Teach them that they can be emotionally vulnerable with each other and that it isn't like a bad thing, and in fact it is a good thing. Like, not to mock each other for having feelings, because you all have feelings. You're allowed to feel, boys. You're allowed to feel. Feel with each other.
that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right.
Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know.
That's not it.
Women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles,
Fair.
That's my source. I read about it on the internet. Research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori. Did I say that right?
Hikikomori?
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And
There was like a zombie movie that featured a man like that. It had a hopeful ending though, which is weird for that kind of zombie movie. But I mean, like, his whole family died, but he survived.
today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million.
Wow.
Things like this
Boys.
people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society.
Wow.
Basically, if you want to know America's future, look no
Oof.
further than Japan. A lot of
That's
people, including myself,
harsh.
blame
That's rough.
especially on the rise of social media and technology. R.I.P. to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, buy a new microphone, and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with
And I feel like, too, part of the thing with, like, when you get to with social media, with everything being so in your face, you have these idealized versions, and this is true for men and women, that like you get these idealized versions of people, and you know, you have so many things like being thrust into your brain pan all the time about like what's acceptable and what's not and what's a red flag, and it's like certain things aren't necessarily, you know, sometimes it's just a problem can be explained or talked about through a conversation. But if they have like a weird phrasing on your Tinder bio or whatever, and then you're like, left, because it's like, you don't know what that means. But like, maybe if you actually talked to them in person, they would be able to be like, oh, it was a joke because of XYZ, or, you know, there's explanations that you don't necessarily get online. And like I said, you have these idealized expectations of a person, and then when they don't meet this incredibly lofty, like impossible to reach standard, then, you know, you ghost them or dip, or like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of things that could be fixed or changed if a conversation were to happen. Like if you try to get to the root of a problem. And that doesn't always work. I've had the same conversation. I can have the same conversation with a person like 6 or 7 times. And if it doesn't feel like anything is changing in that conversation, I might not have another conversation with them, because like we are like diametrically opposed, you know? But like, you can't know that from reading a Tinder bio. You can't know that from reading a Tinder bio. So I don't know. I feel like, and then of course with everything on Instagram and TikTok and all of these things, you have these ideas, and they're not realistic. Like, you have to remember that people are fallible, and you're not going to agree with them on everything. There's not a single person in this entire world that you're going to agree with about every single thing, which is good, because that makes things interesting. Like, if you don't want to date someone you agree with every single thing about. The important things, yes. But the point is, I agree with her that social media and media in general we need to take a, don't stop watching this video. But in general.
Friends when I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers. Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I could just tap, 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 Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5. Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could—
And you don't need to put any work into it.
We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies, at least for now. But on
and who are more likely to be injured or hurt in some kind of way if they're not picky. Like, there is that. It is more like dating is more dangerous for women physically, but like, again, I'm not saying lower your standards the whole, like, to the floor, but like, understanding of other people's fallibility is important.
On dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox,
which is
Americans
really
are
unfortunate.
in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half.
Oh my God.
1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics,
that sucks.
The explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
It isn't, but don't be on that manosphere red pill shit, because that's just blaming women for your problems, which is not fair. But like, it does make sense that people gravitate towards it. Like, I understand it. I do, like, wanting someone to blame, because there isn't a single person. There's not like a easy fix. So it's like, I get wanting to blame. It's like, well, it's women's fault. It's not. But it is definitely a societal fault. Ugh, that sucks. Get you some friends. And I will say, like, most of my friends are men. Like, I have very, very few female friends. And that has been the case my whole life. There's just been, I don't know, I do not know. In general, I tend to have more friends that are guys, but like right now, it's like I've got groups that I'm a part of that, you know, there's at least something that we have in common. And it's like, just, I don't know. I feel like people like, it's so hard to make friends as an adult, and it is, outside of your work, because it's like, you know, at school you were with people all the time, but that's why, you know, finding a thing to do, a social group, find a dodgeball league in your city, you know, something that's low stakes, but like you're all there for a purpose, you know, and then go out for drinks after, get to know each other. It is just hard. It's hard to do, which is why I'm like, you know, find a social league at your local bar, because one of your local bars definitely runs something.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics.
Yeah, no,
he talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address.
This is true. Compassion is very important. Like, And I can see this. This is absolutely 100% true. This is how by pushing people away, by making them feel inadequate or like a loser, like you can't make people feel bad. Like you can't blame men for everything also, is essentially I think where we're coming from, because it's like, well, if it's everything is like, that's what annoys me about like with Andrew Tate and everything about assigning, like, and he's trying to assign numerical values to everybody, which is also wrong. That is not good for the self-esteem. Stop assigning numerical values to people. There's no such thing as a high value person, because we're all human. So therefore we are all intrinsically valuable. You know, you're going to be attracted to different things depending on who you are, but like assigning a numerical value to everything just is going to like injure yourself and your brain and your self-esteem, and it's going to make it easier for like alt-right movements and stuff to like dig their claws in. Because it's just like, but yeah, I agree with this person. Little baby Gandhi, Sid. Like, compassion is key.
Said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that, you know, men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, "I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't."
The responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. And it is true. I do feel like one of a big problem with the left in general is that it's just as bad as the right at dogpiling on things. Like they see somebody say, "Hey, you know, the part of the reason is you," and they don't try to fix that problem. You know, they are just like, their hackles go immediately up and they immediately get defensive and they're like, you know, well, you're a monster. And it's just immediately like with the ad hominem attacks too. So it's just like, no, dude, you're a person. Just because your political views are more aligned with, you know, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much politics right now, but like, it's like that is like the left does it too. The left does it too, where they just won't hear that they have anything wrong in their own head. Like they won't hear that they're doing anything incorrect. And it's like, look, y'all, we're all people. We're all human, as I've said a million times already on this episode. It's like, just also, dude, like, Lamau cannot be your response to someone saying, be compassionate. Like, that's whack.
Oh, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe
yes.
Men are just not good people then. I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
BFs are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, It's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence. By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle.
Wow.
I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognize most of the sort that look like me are the problem. I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice?
That's not the advice. That's not the, okay, look, this is not the advice that he's talking about. Like, that's not what he's talking about.
Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being, it's not hard, is brain dead advice? Brain dead advice like, get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
kids, don't be racist.
Well, yeah, because it feels like it's like all and like these people in the comments are exactly who he's talking about. Like, how are you that unself-aware? Like, you're who he's talking about. Like, you have to be able to say, men deserve compassion. And it not be, like, out of pocket. Like, that's just, why is that not a fact? Like, if you show compassion to somebody, no matter, even if they're horrible to you, like, you can be the light in their lives that allows them to see a different side of the story. Look, there was a woman who used to come into a restaurant where I worked in. She was horrible. She was horrible all the time. She was a proper Karen. And this is before we were calling people Karens. Her name isn't Karen, but like she was a Karen. And she was horrible all the time. She was so mean. She was so rude. She was so quick to just like snap and jump down your throat. And like, she was awful. She was awful. And she kept coming in. Like, she wouldn't stop. There was always something wrong, but she was with what we did, and like she didn't stop coming in, and I was the only one who could deal with her. Like, I just was nice. I was polite. I asked her how her day was going. You know, I complimented her jacket. Look, that's a lovely color. Like, you know, I was just nice. I was like working the host stand at the time, so it's like that was my job. I had to interact with her. I didn't have any choice. That was my job, and I performed my job. And honestly, it did not take very long. It took a few interactions with me just being nice to her for her to have a smile for me, for her to like, you know, find out my name, to start asking me questions about my life, to like engage, and she started being nicer to other people too. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, you just sometimes being nice, reaching out the hand of kindness, even if it's just for work, you know, like. And eventually it's like, I didn't hate her by the end. Like, she was not a chore to see. Like, I saw her come in, I would say hi, tell her it was good to see her, and genuinely mean it. Like, you know, you can be a positive force. And all of these people in the comments being like, no, I'm not going to be nice to men. Or it's like, no, they don't deserve my sympathy or compassion just because, you know... Like, wow, wild takes.
Incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist.
My advice is save the planet. That's not advice. That's not it. Like, okay. I don't think these people know what advice is.
Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be, become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks. Oh my god.
Simp!
This is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me, just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out.
No, okay, this is bad advice. Like this, okay, look, this is what I was saying. Loneliness is a huge issue, and it is combated with social interaction. Like, surround yourself with people who give a shit about you. Like, and you know, I feel like as a society, we put a lot of effort on romantic relationships and dating. And I feel like we are led to believe that if we don't have a committed relationship by the time we're in our mid-20s, we're failures you're a failure as a person if you're not like engaged by the time you're 25. You know, and we put so much like stress on like, you know, there's the third date rule and like all of these rules that we've given ourselves that like that they're impossible to hold to. And then, you know, you've failed to have a meaningful like romantic relationship by the time you're in your mid-20s. So now you feel like you'll never ever have one. And it's like, of course you shut down. Like, just jerking off isn't going to give you that emotional connection that you like. We are social creatures. Humans as a species are social. And we've put so much, like, we've wrapped so much into romance, I think, and like a monogamous partner that it has broken us. Like, this is so distressing. I'm taking forever with this episode. I'm so sorry. This is taking forever. But like, I feel like what she's saying is very important and it needs to be said. And people need to stop with the, oh no, poor men. It's like, stop being rude. You're the problem. A man's allowed to have like, all right, no wonder men can't say that they have emotions or feel anything, because anytime they try, they get immediately shut down. Stop it.
You'll feel better, I promise. Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men
How?
created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people,
even if that's true, like, get over yourself. Like, I don't, and I'm not going to say that it's 100% the fault of the patriarchy. I am willing to blame the patriarchy for a lot of stuff. But like, my God. It's like that, no, it's, I was gonna say it's like the scene from Good Omens where it's like they're killing Jesus and Crowley's like, what did he do? And Ezra's like, he said be nice to each other. And Crowley's like, yep, that'll do it. Crucify him. Like, my God.
Mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to
that is what it seems like it is.
They're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not
I did say that.
Problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this?
See, that's what I was saying.
Open up to your fellow men and discuss history. Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have
I think that is
socialized
true.
this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomenon. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah blah.
I will say though, like, even as like in the 40s, like as recent as like the 40s, men were more socially, it was more socially acceptable for like them to at least like have physical affection with one another. Like that changed more recently. So that is the first time that I will say that I am not 100% like on board with what she's saying, because there are, I don't know that there's less toxic masculinity now, just because like some guys are more open with being gender non-conforming, or like, you know, clothes are clothes, you can wear what you want. There's still a lot of backlash from that, and people are still getting killed for it, you know? So it's, I don't know that she's fully, I'm curious to see, I want to see where she's going with this. This is the first time that I've been like, no, I do think that is a huge part of the problem. That the way we treat men who show their emotions is wrong. Like, we tend to demonize them for it. And I do think that is still true.
Blah, blah, blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s. But social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened.
Yeah, that's true.
God, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity. Boo-hoo!
That's not what we're discussing.
Suicidal wham. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies. And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left is enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
Again, yeah, but yeah, exactly. Why is that relevant? That's not relevant to the thing at hand. And not relevant. Stay on topic, sir. Please stay on topic. my man, my dude, I'm sorry. I don't know. But like in general, like people bringing in like the crime statistics, it's like, well, men don't deserve to feel lonely because more men kill people. What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
All of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it suits them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have, that's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? You're saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit.
That's also true.
Any of this. But the right is, at least... rhetorically offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine...
No, we don't!
...on the left. But the fact is...
We do not need a leftist Andrew Tate, please. Please, 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 no. Like, Andrew Tate is toxic. We need less toxicity in general. I don't want... Like, what would a leftist version of Andrew Tate even look like? Also, like, I don't know where, again, I don't know his stances on anything political. Like, I just know how he feels about women, which is bad. But like, and like, we're objects, etc., etc. But like, no, we do not need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need more people like Mr. Rogers. Like, bring back more, like Bob Ross. If we had more people like Bob Ross, everyone loves Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers. So it's just like, can we, like, why is that so bad? Like, that's what we need more of.
It's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around how do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of...
I hadn't really considered any of that.
And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder. Disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem because first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No.
Jesus?
As a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years, and even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think
actionable advice
has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video.
Okay. That was interesting. Again, I had no idea really what to expect going in there. And oh my God, I have talked for so freaking long. It's a 20-minute video and I've talked for 20 of those minutes. Of the 40 minutes that I've been here. It's a very, very complicated issue. And I don't know. I don't really have a Twitter, so I'm not seeing too much of this side of things. And again, like, I feel like it's sort of similar to like if you are part of a majority group and someone from a minority group is telling you as part of that minority, this and this you shouldn't do, to my minority group, listen to that thing, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you're being demonized for it. So it's like the one part of the issue that she was saying that, like, I felt very, very bad for that last guy with the TikTok. And it's like, and I do agree that a lot of the issues that women have, they are valid issues, but that does not invalidate what men are feeling. Like, that doesn't, like, again, it has nothing to do with that. Like, you're allowed to have an issue. So is he. He's also allowed to have an issue. And so it's just like, if someone tells you that you've done something wrong, you know, you apologize and you try to fix it. You try not to say that thing again, or you know, you, again, but that again goes back to the communication that I was talking about earlier, like having an actual conversation instead of just building up these pedestals and these impossible standards, actually talking about what it is you want, like, and what you want to get out of life and like what you're looking for. And conversations are important. And again, having a community is important. And I do think that we don't have as much community these days. And that is partially social media. It is also partially because just like a lot of social programs have been dismantled. They have been and like privatized and made very difficult to get access to them. So like people don't have some place that they can go anymore to find that sense of community. Those places are fast disappearing. And I think that that is a huge, huge part of this problem. And like I said, also, you know, we have so much focus as a society on like what life is supposed to look like by a certain point. And if your life doesn't look like that, then there's something wrong with you. So, you know, people go they go inwards. They don't seek out that again, they don't seek any, they stop seeking it out because they start feeling like they don't deserve it, and it's a whole freaking thing, and it sucks. And it sucks. And this is not something that we're going to fix in a day, and it's not something that, you know, men can fix on their own. It's not something that the right can fix. It's not something that the left can fix. It's something that if we want to have a community, we have to have a community, and that's something that individuals have to do, and that's something that we have to start changing from the ground up. I think. I don't think this is not going to be something that a systemic issue. Like it is a systemic issue, but it's not something that's going to change from the top down. This is something that has to be done on an individual basis, and stop blaming everybody else for all of like every problem. Like that's the other thing, because like women blame men for everything and men blame women for everything, and it's I mean that's generalizations obviously, but I feel like that is a huge problem. Like the right, or not the right, I mean like the manosphere, red pill people, like blame, like they blame women for like like the man's problems, but women also are like, again, painting everyone with one brush also. So this was a long video. The takeaway is treat people as individuals and as human beings that have value on their own because they're a human being. And if someone tells you that they're struggling, listen to them and don't dismiss those struggles, because that's a shitty thing to do. Anyway, sorry that this was so long, and I hope that you're doing okay. I hope that you're doing okay. I hope that you have a community. I hope that you have people that you can talk to. And if you don't, we have a Discord. There's a lot of cool people on there, a lot of like-minded folks over there on the Discord. And like I said, again, find a place, like whether it's a social league of some kind. Those are usually free, or not, they're not free. Those are usually like $60. But you know, you can find, I have faith in you that you can find a place that you belong with like-minded individuals. People will want to know you, as long as you also want to know them. That is the last I have to say about it, I think. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.